Okay, I really don't feel like napping lately, but I gotta stay in practice. So I went in my rock pile. I found an old piece of, uh, well, this is not old actually. This is a piece of what I call bull gravel. I used to nap a lot of this stuff when I first started, so I want to see if I can make something out of it. You find this a lot in landscape stones here in Texas and other places. All right. Yeah, so I have not napped very much since the last video. I did work on some points for a friend of mine. These are called lot points. But these are pretty easy to pressure flake from flakes. If I can arrange these. Some of them are unifacial and some are not in the archaeological record. Some are translucent and some are not, but it's kind of a rare type. So that's the only thing I've been doing as far as I can remember since the last video. This stuff sometimes can be pretty nice. This is raw. I usually try to heat treat this kind of stuff, but we'll see what happens. I think I could probably make something out of it. I want to try to skin off a nice piece, but it didn't work. I tried to swing this. I'm not as accurate with a swing. Let's try it one more time. Yeah, this has internal issues with cracks near the cortex. That's pretty common. A little bit of concrete in the middle. I'm sitting much lower also. I can actually touch the floor in front of me pretty easy. I started sitting up higher in chairs, but I'm going to go back to sitting very low. Yeah, there are some times where I don't feel like napping, so I take a break for a week or two. It's easy to take a break for a week. I got a lot of glass snapping videos coming up. Should be practicing on glass, I guess, right? I broke up a couple of bottles. I'll be napping some beer bottle glass again. Now this one here is a 64 ounce growler, right? They call them growlers. So this is pretty big, but it's highly curved, right? So you can't really get a large flat piece out of it. And this is a 40 ounce beer bottle. I accidentally broke it that way. You can cut this with glass cutters, and I'll probably do that. Actually, I will do that in the video coming up. But I just want to show you the thickness. The thickness of these are comparable, right? So you don't need to go out and buy a growler or find one. You can just use the 40 ounce. It has about the same amount of curve, except in the very middle. This looks kind of flat here in the middle, so that might be handy. This one is completely curved, but the thickness and the color are the same. All right, so I'll be napping that kind of stuff coming up, and I'll be doing notching videos too, and obsidian videos. And I got a bunch of requests actually. I just haven't been in the mood for napping. So I'm going to bang on a piece of rock that I don't care if it comes out well or not. Okay. Yeah. Usually this is not very pleasant stuff to nap. So if I don't get anything out of it, it's not gonna break my heart or anything. Okay. And again, it probably heat treats well, so I'll heat treat these flakes. See if I can get a little biface out of it first. You can buy this kind of stuff on eBay. Let's see if I can find a nice piece to show you the translucency. A lot of artifacts are actually made from this stuff. Yeah, another thing is the light's not as close. So it doesn't, the translucency doesn't show up as well. Okay. Now I could have made what they call a curville knife out of this. I just left one of the rounded sides on here and just napped one end, and it would have been a curville knife, but those are not very exciting to nap, so maybe I'll do one in the future, I don't know. I think I've napped a couple. Yeah, I've got several artifacts made from this kind of stuff. So it was used. And it's good for fire starters too. Fire kits. I finally found my piece of steel for the fire kit. Let's see. You can see that, right? Very effective stuff for the fire kits. Okay. So if you order some on eBay and you can't nap it because it's too tough, you can use it for fire starter kits. This root beer looking stuff is actually pretty good. I've sent some of this stuff out and never had any complaints as far as fire kits go. Now as far as napping material, yeah, not everyone likes this stuff. just watched a video earlier by Edbo23. I think he called them napping biscuits or something, where you would come up with a biscuit looking type of biface and then thin it down from there. I used to watch, I mean, my style is influenced heavily by his style of napping. So whenever he posts, you know, I've got it set for notifications whenever he uploads. So whenever he posts, I watch the video right away. A couple of his videos are pretty funny recently. Okay. Now, can this tough raw stuff be napped better with a piece of wood or something? Well, in my opinion, you can get used to napping with anything. So if you want to create the narrative that wood is best, you can develop a technique so that wood is best for you. I don't think so. Aluminum is much easier to deal with. And this probably does not need much heat, but you have to experiment with this stuff. Sometimes it heats at low temperatures like 275. Sometimes it takes a lot more heat than that, up to 375 in some cases, or more. 400 is usually the average for across the board stone. Some of it will cook just under that, and some of the stone will have to be cooked just above that amount. You can pretty much guarantee something will happen to it at 400. So, but on this kind of stuff, I would experiment first with lower heat if you have some of it. Just a few normal issues underneath the cortex. Could talk about raw stone. Some guys think working raw stone is the pinnacle of flint napping. I suppose. I'm not going to argue with that. If you can work raw stone, that's perfectly fine with me. If you think it's the pinnacle and ultimate in flint knapping, I'm not going to argue with that either. It's up to you. But I'm not going to tell you it's easy or easier, or I'm not going to tell you that there's more support for artifacts being mostly raw stone artifacts as opposed to heat treated stone artifacts, because I don't know that for sure. I think there's raw stone that works very well in the raw state, and some of it is practically unnappable unless you heat treat it. I used to pride myself on getting almost any stone into or making any stone into a point of some sort. You know, with the rock challenges and stuff. I can work just about any stone. And some guys enjoy challenges, right? I do enjoy it when it's a challenge, but I reach a certain point where it starts to become miserable and I no longer enjoy it. And I guess as I'm getting older, in my old age, I'm liking the raw stuff less and less. Although it does produce some nice edges if you need something durable. But it's stone we're talking about here. It's not going to be durable in the overall sense. It's still going to break. It'll just be a little bit more durable than the heat treated type. But it still breaks. You can drop it and break it. Still is difficult to work because of the inclusions. You get different consistencies. Heat treating tends to level out the inconsistencies. Raw stone can be more steppy. Even at this stage, after 10 years of experience, I still encounter stones that I feel are more steppy than others. Like the flakes are harder to detach. The terminations are more stubborn. That's what I call steppy. And the terminations are more stubborn than normal. That one cracked, but didn't. Yeah, see, the detachments are more stubborn than normal. So that tells me I'm getting to the point where I'm not able to shoot flakes across as easily. I have a lot of actual artifacts that look like this, and they either abandon them or this is supposed to be saved for later. But I have a lot of artifacts with deep step fractures like this. So when that happens, it looks like instead of going all the way across, it stopped. So that means I need to switch to a different technique or prepare the platforms differently for these strikes. Let's see if I isolate this one, if I can send one in there. And this time using a swiping technique. Where I swipe. Let's see what happens. That's really beat up. I haven't adjusted the focus. Hopefully that has not been going in and out of focus the whole time, but probably has. All right, so let's see. Yeah, that's a little bit better. So I'm going to swipe instead of hitting with a gouge, where I gouge out that initiation. I'm going to swipe and see how that works. Didn't do anything. Let's see. Let's try again. Yeah, I did more of a swipe on that, but it didn't work. Let's see. That wasn't too bad. Isolating it again. I'm just going to try it again, even if it ends up with a stack in the middle. I don't care. I want to see if I can actually drive one with a swipe. Well, I'm not going to hit there. It's too concave. I'm going to hit up here. Let's see if I can drive one with a swiping strike. Yeah. And I got artifacts like this too. Alright, so yeah, I'll switch over to a different technique to get what I want to get. Alright. So I'm attacking the step fractures head on with just placing the tool onto the step fracture and striking. Now you can't do that with natural materials very well. You can sometimes get away with it, but you gotta have a pretty strong piece of antler or something, bone maybe. Maybe some ivory. I don't know. Usually it ruins the tool, but if you get the results you need, and then you have to get the results. Sacrificing a tool is okay. So I'm going to have to whittle this down little by little. really need to grind these edges that much. Because the stone can handle a lot of force without crushing. But I think it's better just to be on the safe side. And grind a whole bunch. Yeah, this is going to be tough. Yeah, I figured this was going to be tough, but not this tough. I'm having to drive more downward than inward because inward is just creating step fractures. So when you have to resort to driving downward more, it's not going to be as thin. As you are normally accustomed to, whatever your thinness level is. I'm still going to revamp my toolkits. I just haven't had time lately. That's the biggest obstacle, is the time. Combined with very little time and not really wanting to do any napping. The only thing I've done is I've looked at the materials. Look at all the antler I've got. And that kind of thing. One thing working with raw stone is good for is I feel more confident working on a base. Don't have to worry too much about snapping the whole thing in the middle. At least theoretically. I seem to be creating an island because the platforms are not strong enough. I know that's why. I just don't want to take it back a whole lot. I don't want to reduce the width very much, but I'm going to have to. Get it looking more like what Edbo says, looks like a biscuit. And then try to thin it down. Now, why do I stick with this method if it's not going to thin it down very well? Switch over to isolating the platforms and do more swiping hits. It's because I'm not very good at it. I've tried it and tried it and tried it. And all I do is wipe out the platforms. They don't seem to do anything for me. But I suppose I could spend a lot of time doing that technique. I think I'm going to have to. If I'm going to teach people how to do it, if they want to learn, I'm going to have to learn it myself. Now, a tough stone is sometimes it's better to use a smaller tip like I'm using on the tool, but sometimes you can get away with using a larger tip. I'd rather get more concentrated force. I don't even know what I'm doing here as far as shape, but I'd rather get more concentrated force with a smaller tip and smaller flakes, and try to go with a larger tip, more force, even though the flakes might look better if I go with a larger tip. They might even come off better. Could just go for a little corner tang thing, but no, I'm going to probably do a regular projectile point. This actually grinds down fairly easy. I gotta be careful when I hit those step fracture faces that I don't cause a diving flake or an overshot. Like if I hit this face of this particular step fracture, it could be powerful enough to send an overshot. So I have to watch for that kind of stuff. So I'd rather not hit it if that's what it's going to do. Or if it has the potential of doing that, try to get it from the other side if possible. Now this is about the toughest stuff that I normally work. It's extremely tough. And just getting used to it uses up material, just to get the hang of it. But of course, if you have a lot of it, doesn't matter. It's pretty cheap if you can get a bunch of it for landscaping. But it's just merciless. I've got to really get in there, and if I want to get that turtle back off there, I have to lose some width. I always try to preserve the width. I could have taken it back to a smaller little biscuit in the beginning. Well, maybe not beginning, but earlier on. Take more of the width off. But I'm going to take more and more of it off as I go, depending on how well it goes. If I can't get that to release, I got to take off width from somewhere to get in closer to that turtle back. Let's see, if I hit it with this, I lose less energy. Maybe that'll do it. Yeah, not too bad. This has a dampening effect. You know, the plastic will dimple and stuff, so it has a slight dampening effect, which is good for longer flakes. But for tough material, you kind of have to preserve as much energy as possible. Let's see if this works. Nope. So yeah, I need to get much closer to that island. Might be saying, this is so shameful. I mean, I see other nappers that can get much better result on raw stone. What's the matter? The issue is mainly the technique. If I develop a technique for raw stone and I go back to softer materials, it messes with your mind, so to speak. It's a very different mindset. Here I am. I'm going to go to glass right after this. Yeah, I just wanted to see what I could do with it. I just want to see what I could do with this piece of stone. I'm actually losing energy because I think I'm bouncing off of the steel. Aluminum on aluminum might be a little bit better option. So let's go back to the plastic and see if I can run a flake across. I can get more speed with the plastic, but I can't seem to get more energy. If I back it up against something or hold something else in my hand, like a heavy weight, like maybe I can put this behind it somehow and then anchor it some way. I don't know. This could end up being a very long video. Could be doing cosmetically clean strikes with each strike, right? Concentrate on cosmetically clean strikes. Yeah, it does look much better when you concentrate on cosmetic napping for the video. So I'll do some of that too. Yeah, a lot of you can relate to this, right? Where one side naps fairly well and the other side doesn't. Technically, it doesn't matter that much, right? Unless the stone itself is very inconsistent, or if you're napping close to the cortex, it doesn't. Otherwise, it won't matter that much. What I mean by that is if one side is napping really nice and the other one isn't, and it's not the fact that one side is better stone, there's just a little bit something off with the technique. Or something in your mind is not working in your favor. Like you have a bias toward one side you feel better about. You just feel better about one side than the other. You're going to be more confident or something on that one side. It's just going to be better because of your mindset. Might be what I'm experiencing. Of course, I'm also cosmetically napping. Artifacts in the past were not really made that way, as far as I can tell. You don't nap cosmetically with every step. You do want to avoid step fractures, but you don't really care about errors too much until the very end. If the artifacts are any indication, I have a lot of artifacts that are very messy, but you look at the finished points on the site and they're pretty nice. So one of a few things could be the reason for that. One is the new nappers are making the crud. Two, the experienced nappers don't really care about initial stages. Or number three, they're discards from everybody because they don't like it. They don't like them or whatever. Didn't come out right. Various possibilities. But I tend to think that it's not very important to be napping cosmetically in the initial stages. Oh, almost. It almost took off that lump there. I might be able to get it with the next strike. It's still got a steppy area. Yeah, I am going to have to narrow it down. Might as well narrow it now. This is very concretey up here. So I gotta lose some width anyway to get a better platform angle of attack. Sometimes I say thin it out early. I tell guys that try to thin it out early. In some cases, but it's not always possible. Either because of skill level or the tools just quite aren't doing it, or the rock is too tough. But it's best to thin it out early, I think, if you can. Sometimes it's not advantageous because if you're hitting on a real thin piece, it's easy to snap it in half. Yeah, it's going to have some steps in the finished product. Looks like. I'm not going to worry too much about them. About the steps. Step fractures. Yeah, I hit that super hard. I should have gone all the way across. Should have. So Yeah, I'm sticking with the continuous type platforms. Very little isolation. I'm not too worried about cosmetic napping at every step of the way. Although I don't want to make it too difficult on myself and say to myself, well, I can get that step fracture later. No worries. Well, there's some worries with this because it's extremely tough. So I can't really predict what's going to happen as well as with more consistent material. I only got like one or two opportunities to get that lump off. Now, can it be used with a lump like that? Yeah. You can still use it depending on what you're going to use it for. A projectile point doesn't look that great with the big old lump in it. It doesn't work that great either, is what I meant to say. Yeah, it doesn't look that great, but you need a smooth transition from tip to wherever to penetrate well. All right, let's see if this works. High speed, lots of force, lots of concentration, good platform. Oh, not too bad. I don't know. I need one really good strike. And there's a concrete pocket right there that's preventing it. Although with raw material like this, I can hit it very, very hard and it's not going to, I'm not going to have to worry about it too much. I can hit this really hard. So I'm going to plan on doing that. I'm going to plan on hitting this extremely hard right in the middle. So I'll set up this edge better. I'm going to work on the tip here for a second. Gosh, I forget how nice the tips are. On raw stone, you can really strike hard on the tip and nothing happens to the tip. Okay, so let's see. Using the abrader, I'm repeating myself from other videos, but using the abrader a lot, it's not just for dulling, but it's taking back the edge slightly and less drastic than I would be taking it back if I was chipping it with the flaker. Let's see if that helps at all as far as strengthening and making good progress on the strengthening of the edge. I think that's good. Extremely hard strike, and that one did pay off, fortunately. All right, so I got one more chance to get rid of that fat area. I can't go through that concrete pocket there. That'd be risking it. I might be able to do it from here into this area. I can probably hit that step and get rid of it, some of it, by directly attacking it. Hopefully you can hear me. I don't have the fan as high as I did the other day, and I'm much closer to the microphone when I sit lower like this. So if I strike into this area with this kind of a weird contour, I'm risking it. But I'm going to try it anyway. I still have a chance to get it from this side. So I'm going to try to strike into this mess. Yeah, some guys grind the surface a lot. I suppose it couldn't hurt, right? That's why I'm doing it. But you know, there's a lot of chatter up in here, so I just took it all, most of it off by grinding the surface. You know, theoretically, that chatter and all those little fractures weakens the potential flake, and this might help it to stay together. Okay, let's see what happens. Very, very hard strike again. Nice. Okay. I can live with that step fracture in there. Yeah. Might be able to get it later. Alright, let's see. I can start figuring out what to do with this as far as a point type. Could go with the old favorite Peternalis, right? We'll see. Well, that is an encouraging sign. That just didn't travel as far as I wanted. But if I make a Peternalis point out of it, I can deepen this base and then hit that area. Yeah, I think that's what I'll do. I'll try to hit that area from a notch. Use the bottom of the notch as a platform. To hit into that area. Yeah. It's dicey. I could snap the whole thing. I don't know if putting my finger on the tip's going to make much difference, so we'll see. I don't know. Let's see. I could have messed it up just then. It did take some of that off the top, right? It's not all that bad. It might look bad right now, but I think I can get it from the sides. Or not. Still got room. I'm just doing that on purpose to make it look difficult. I wish I could plan out these mistakes. Make it look really hard and then come back from behind and take care of that mess. Wish I could plan that stuff. I could make some really interesting videos that way. All right, let's see. Yeah, I can make a pedernales type thing out of it, but it's not going to be perfectly beautiful. Should make a Dalton thing out of it. Let me think here. No, that's okay. Now it's just a matter of not messing it up. The thinness is there. It's just I need to get, well, I need to make sure I don't make cosmetic mistakes like that. Alright, so that solves that issue. Don't need to worry about making that pedernales point now. Okay. Yeah, that was unfortunate. I should have probably switched the pressure. That one hurt. Okay, let's see. Let me see. I haven't tried pressure on this yet. Let's see. I got some new pads from my friend Sean. Thank you very much. I got some new leather pads. One is wood backed. Very nice. We'll wait on those. I don't want to mess them up yet. I do want to mess them up, but not yet. Yeah, this snaps like really tough raw stone. Well, if you can nap this, you can nap anything. Well, just go ahead and try switching from this to obsidian or something. It'll mess you all up. Yeah, not too many complaints on the pressure flaking other than it takes a lot of force. I still want to make a pedernales looking thing out of it, but it's way too short, I think. Let's see. Oh yeah, this book. It's this book. Before you ask. Well, I'm kind of within the size range. Yeah. Yeah, I'm still within the size range. Could make one that looks reworked. Actually, it's not too far off from the actual average size. Right? Okay. Let's try again.